Hello, students. It's Miss Holt here. A little birdie told me you all are going to be starting research very soon. And I know that with cell phones, tablets, and lots of other technology at our fingertips, we know exactly how to find the right answer to our questions. Go on Google, right? While you may find the correct answer doing a Google search, for academic or school research, we need to be extra careful about the resources that we use. I'll explain. So, when we talk about research, we talk about what is called credible sources. Today's presentation, I am going to help you all identify and access resources to answer a research question. And then we're going to analyze the sources to see what is credible or the most relevant to answer our research questions. So, what makes something credible or reliable? Something is credible when we can trust and believe in it. Okay, so there's a lot of information out there. Where do I start? If I can't use Google, Miss Holt, where am I supposed to start? So I'm going to tell you that we librarians use very sophisticated process called the CRAAP test. CRAAP is CRAAP. C stands for currency, R relevance, A authority, A again for accuracy, and P for purpose. Now let's take a closer look at each of these components. So C for currency, we're going to see, well, when was this information even published or posted? When was it last updated or revised? Is the information up to date? Are the links still working? Some currency tips. So if you are online and you are looking at a website, a book, or an article to answer a research question, we want to pay attention to the date that it was published or posted. So if it's online, has it been updated in the last week or so? That you can usually scroll to the bottom of a page and see the last time something was updated. You want to watch out for broken links on a website. So if you're going and you're researching and then you get the oh snap or this does not exist, this is probably not a good reliable source to use because it is not something that is being updated. You want to think about your research question in general when trying to figure out if it's current. So for example, if you are researching the impact Taylor Swift has on pop culture, a book from 2018 might not be the best resource to use. But if you were researching the impact Martin Luther King Jr. has on our society, a book from 2018 could be a great resource. Why? If you said because while Martin Luther King Jr. hasn't really done anything since 2018, since he's been passed away since the 1960s, you'd be correct. However, if you think about it, it's 2026 now. Taylor Swift has done a lot in the last year, much less the last, 8 or 9 years. So that is why when you're looking at your subject, you want to see, well, how current or how active is my subject? If it's something that's still current in the news, then you want to make sure you have the most up-to-date resources as you can. If it's something or someone who made an impact years or decades ago, then resources from the early and mid 2000s, 2020 may be more relevant for that person. Okay, next. So, talking about relevance. Does the information relate to your topic? Who is the intended audience? Is the information written at appropriate level? Again, we want to make sure that we are looking at the focus. So some tips when you're looking at something, make sure you're staying focused on your actual research question and the purpose. Also, you want to make sure that you narrow down your topic so that you can research effectively. Instead of researching just something broad like football or Abraham Lincoln, make sure you have a research question. And for this project, your teachers probably will have a good research question for you. You just have to plug in a person. When look at the authority. So who's the author or the publisher of the source? Can you find their qualifications? Can the author be contacted? And does the URL reveal anything about the source? So right here, when we look at authority, I'm about to give you some tips that will help you figure out if a source is good for academic research. So I said earlier, just looking something up on Google is not the most reliable way to do things, especially not for our school academic research. What is more credible is .gov, that is short for government, .edu, short for education. A lot of colleges, universities, people that are well researched create articles that are .edu. And then even sometimes .org, depending on the organization. We just do have to be careful with .orgs and make sure that they're not trying to persuade us to do or think a certain way, or that there's not a lot of ads, because that means they may be trying to sell us things and persuade us. So just some quick examples of reliable places that we can get information: NASA Institute, Smithsonian, National Institutes of Health, Britannica School, and other databases that I'll show you in a little bit. Not as credible, but things that we may find often are .coms and .nets. A lot of these have ads on their sites or in their articles. In addition, you'll notice that they may be trying to convince us of something. Also, many of these places are places that anyone can post. So Google, Wikipedia, Yahoo, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. If you tell me something that I haven't heard before, it sounds like a ridiculous, off the wall claim or fact, and you tell me you got it from TikTok, I'm going to ask you, okay, and where did TikTok get that from? Are there other sources that they can cite and quote that are reliable? So just because something is on Wikipedia, we found it on Google or Yahoo, it doesn't mean that the information is not true. However, we always want to make sure as researchers that we have multiple different resources that are telling us the same information. If we have multiple different resources, especially .govs and .edus, where people did actual research and thinking behind it, people that don't want to tarnish their name. NASA doesn't ever want to put out something that someone would dispute, or Harvard Law, or Harvard College, Johns Hopkins. These are all reputable places that pay for research. They are going to be producing good information. So just keep that in mind when you research for school. Okay, so as I was saying, we have databases that the county pays for that you can access any time of the day, as long as AACPS Connect is working and Mac and Via isn't down. You can go there to access our databases. So then we want to see if something is accurate. Where does the information come from? Can you verify the information from another source? Is it bias-free? Are there spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes? If there are mistakes when you pull up an article, this person didn't take the time to proofread their information, I wonder, did they really do the proper research? So I wouldn't trust something that has a lot of mistakes in it. Okay, when you're looking for if something's accurate, like I said before, see if they have quotes, citations, if they reference other sources. So our databases articles often will give you the information, but then they'll tell you where they got that information from so that you can go and find other sources to support these facts. That's a good resource. Be careful, again, as I said, of typos. It could be proof that it's not reliable, or the person is not an authority in the subject. It could be just someone with a strong opinion that wrote an article. Okay, then we want to look at the purpose. What's the purpose of this information? Is it trying to make us feel a certain way? Is it biased? Is the information fact or opinion? So if, like I was mentioning before, TikTok, social media, Wikipedia, blog post, if it's someplace where anyone can post that information, it's not really appropriate for our academic school research. You want to watch out for the things that play on your emotions. If it wants you to feel a certain way, like hate a certain person, or wants you to buy something, or wants you to be extremely happy, they may not be the best resource. And those are things where if you find information that sounds good, just fact check it and see if you can find the same or similar information at those .edus, those .gov resources. So that was the CRAAP test. When doing your academic research, you want to make sure that your resource is current, relevant, has good authority, is accurate, and the purpose matches your research question. Happy research!